All right, you guys. So something I stopped saying over and over in the videos was the fact that I felt like in the first two episodes that Galadriel is obsessed. She's like weirdly too warrior-ish, all this kind of stuff. And then I read this in their own description. A legendary elven warrior, and the commander of the northern armies. Far from the wise and ethereal Lady of Lorien, she will one day become this much younger Galadriel. Is a headstrong and reckless and obsessed with hunting an elusive evil. That's the very thing I disliked about the first episode. Why would they do that? Brukazon Guzdul Mashkuga. Why, hello and welcome back to another episode of Voice of the Rings. I am your host and guide, Zollin Ironshield, and today I want to do a review of episode 1 and a breakdown of the Rise to War episode. Okay, I already had a reaction video, but this is my after I've seen it twice, and this will be a more in-depth talk and conversation about the Rings of Power episodes. I would like to just do a little disclaimer right off the bat. What we're going to do is we're going to use that little thing over there, that little counter. And while we go through the episode 1, I'm going to do it in still frames. We're going to look through some stuff. I'm going to do ones for lore correct, which there are only a couple of those. And there's going to be things I enjoyed, right? And then there's going to be things I really disliked and horrible lore changes, which we've got those over with. We do. But let's start with a little bit of a disclaimer for you guys. All right. So I would like to do this. I'm going to do this in the best way I can to be from a neutral point of view, okay? Being someone who likes Lord of the Rings, loves Tolkien's lore, it's not when Tolkien's lore changed, but I gave them lots of leeway. But at the same time, I'm someone who, just so you know, I enjoyed parts of it and really disliked other parts of it, okay? So I'm right in the middle there. I do have to say that before you guys freak out at me in the comments, okay? Let's be civil in the comments. And if you're someone that disliked something, I would really like to hear why you disliked it. Or if you're something that you loved, why you loved it. Not like, how could you like it? How could you dislike it? Blah, blah, blah from both sides, okay? There are two different sides to things going on. And you know, everyone, if you know on my channel, I like to look at things half full. That's just how I am. Glass half full kind of person. But again, I'm not going to give people total passes if they're destroying things we like. But at the same time, I actually did enjoy parts of the Rings of Power, the first two episodes, okay? And we're going to go through it, and I'll tell you. You're going to see my opinion playlist and breakdown and review of the first two episodes. So we'll have some fun. And again, if you're someone who really, really likes it, I find there's these two boats, extreme boats, okay? This is what most people aren't in these, but there's these two extreme boats, right? One is they love it so much unconditionally, and if anyone that dislikes it, they call us names or blah blah blah. Or then there's the other flip side, that the haters, they're gonna hate no matter what, right? They're gonna hate it no matter what, and if you like it, you're horrible and you shouldn't be, shouldn't be a Tolkien fan. It's like both of these sides are way too extreme. And unfortunately, I think a little bit what happens is the haters, it's almost the popular thing to do, to hate it right now. But at the same time, I completely understand the things they hate, okay? I have some of those hates, a few things here and there in the thing, okay? So far in these first two episodes. But again, we're complex humans. We can have multiple thoughts in our head at once, so we shouldn't try to lump each other into groups. Again, those are very extreme two sides, right? Most people aren't in those two sides. Most people are, oh, I like this, but I really didn't like this. Or I really like this, I didn't like that. You know, that's the majority of people, right? But, and then what happens is the other side, right? They're the ones that are they are like, how could you not like it? So then they make fun of the people who are the haters, and vice versa, and it's just this little vicious cycle. So let's not do that in the comments, guys. Let's try our best to just tell me what you guys personally disliked or liked about the series in the comments. Let's not go into telling people what they shouldn't like and should like, because it really should be every individual person's choice, right? All right. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the review. I just wanted to make sure we all realize that we all have complex things, right? And again, I understand for people who really, really love it, like unconditionally, I understand. I see the things that you really liked about it. For those people who really, really, really dislike it, I totally see why you really disliked it. And you're just kind of like, there's too many things I dislike. I don't like all of it, right? Now, me, I'm in the middle with the fact that I really did dislike some things, but at the same time, I really did like a few things they did. So anyway, that's what we're going to go through today. That's what we'll talk about as we go through this. And again, I'm going to use that little counter over there, and we're going to count them up. This is, of course, my opinion, guys. This is my things, all right? And I've already watched both. I've watched them both twice. I've really thought about it. I'm doing this later, a few days after they've been out, because I really wanted to do it. And again, I tried really hard to watch these without any outside influence. That was my biggest thing. I didn't want to hear people saying, oh, it's going to be horrible, or, oh, it's going to be amazing, you should like it no matter what. I didn't want to hear any of that. So I really didn't watch anybody's, like, reviews or anything. Even my friends who I respect and would probably agree with on other channels, I didn't watch their stuff yet. Okay, so I wanted to be really, really, you know, fresh. Exactly, you know what I mean? Exactly what I think and what I know of Tolkien's lore. So anyway, let's go ahead and bring up episode 1. So you saw my little blurb at the beginning. I was being a troll, but that's one thing that I very dislike is how they changed Galadriel's. She has like an obsession, which is funny because they actually write that she does have an obsession here. Like, I didn't think they'd actually admit it, that that's what they're doing. But, and that she's not the ethereal Lady of Lorien like we... Well, here's the thing. She's already really old at the point of the Second Age, so I don't really buy the whole I'm a warrior stuff and I haven't gotten wise yet kind of thing. All right. I don't know. I can understand her frustration and where they twisted that, but we're going to talk about that step by step and break it down right now. Okay. But that's one of the things I dislike, but I'm not going to do the dislikes yet on the buttons until I get to the point I want to get to here with that. Okay. So let's open episode 1 here, and we'll do it still by still with different messages. All right. Here we go. All right. So again, no sound. We're just going to do stills here. We're going to pop through here. So let's just start with the beginning here. All right, I'm just going to use this, and we're going to have some subtitles so we can talk about some of the things they say, but we're just going to pop through here. I'm going to remove that. All right, so let's start with the beginning here. So we see she's got a little intro here, basically describing how important the light of the true trees are to the elves. I like that. I thought that was well done. The whole part, this whole part, again, I'm not gonna be watching it because I don't want to be, you need to go watch it yourself, but I'm gonna be doing stills, right? I'm gonna do still pictures and some words here occasionally, but I like the fact that they show her as a young Galadriel. I do like that. Ooh, excuse me, I muted that. That is very nice. I like that, so that's a plus. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that as something I enjoyed. All right, so there's one to enjoy. Okay, again, I want to describe that one more time, that side right there. Lore correct, meaning those will be very rare. That'll be something that I think that they got correct from Tolkien's lore. I enjoyed is something where I'm giving them leeway that I actually just enjoyed it. If it was just a standalone TV show, I enjoyed that part. I disliked is something that I really disliked that might have been something they brought in from our real world, an issue or something I just didn't like with choreograph, battle choreograph, and or music or something like that. Horrible lore change. Those are things that like people are just really frustrated about. For example, the personality thing with Galadriel. I don't like how they did that. If they build it into the next episodes where she's turning into the one we see in the Lord of the Rings, Cate Blanche, and in the books, then okay, but still I don't like the beginning. So anyway, with that aside, so we see the kids, right? We get a shot of young Galadriel. They're playing, right? I believe these children, by the way, just a quick little thing that I think these are the same elves that are with her later. So they're made up elves, right? They're made up, which is fine. I don't care about that. I'm not going to give a point for any of that. Again, I'm going to decide when I do points or not points. But the made up, they're going to be the made up group that goes with her to the north, and then the ones that sail to Valinor later in episode 1 here, they're going to be there will be spoilers in this. We're going step by step. You guys know that, right? Just throwing that out there. Hope you've watched it already. Anyway, then what I don't like, something I disliked about this whole part is that I did not like, and some of my family members didn't like this too, that the elf children, they see this, the little boat, and they decide they're going to sink it, and they throw a rock on it, all right? So that is a definite dislike for me. Again, that's not lore stuff, but I dislike that, okay? So that is a dislike for me. I didn't really like how they portrayed that. I was like, eh. Now, the scenery here, showing Valinor, gorgeous. So that is a definite lore correct for me. So scenery-wise, all right? So the scenery is gorgeous, okay? It reminds me of what I would think of Valinor, a perfect place with no issues, no sickness, right? It's just, everything is gorgeous. It just looks like heaven, right? So that was really well done. I like that visually. When it came to music, in general, in the whole first 2 episodes, there were some parts that were excellent, and there were some parts that were not. I was a little bit disappointed to find out that Howard Shore wasn't doing all the music for it, okay? He only did a bit. So it wasn't the music level that I was looking forward to. So what I'm going to do with that is that there's going to be both a dislike and a like for the music. Cause of Doom in episode 2 versus episode 1. But there's a few spots here in episode 1 that have some really good music too that I did enjoy. But a lot of it, you're just listening for it. You're trying to find music, right? And that's always a bad sign. Whenever you are like hearing this is why I've talked to my cousin about this too, about the day after we watched the episode. You're trying to find the music. That should not be a thing, right? The music you're hearing right now is from Lord of the Rings Online, by the way. Awesome music. That's great music. But the music in the Rings of Power show, which I can't do for copyright, show you, it's a little disappointing. There's not a lot of it. You have like 2 or 3 spots in episode 1, and there's like 2 or 3 spots in episode 2 that's like excellent music, and the rest just like this under the radar, weird background nothingness. And that was just disappointing. So that's why there's a like and a dislike there, because it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good. And I was kind of like, But the reason I give it a like is because of some other spots here in the music. All right. So anyway, the kids crush her boat. I dislike that. Again, we already said I dislike that. I already put the dislike for that. I did like the relationship between Galadriel and Finrod here. I like that he tells her some stuff. I thought that whole part was neat. Points for young Galadriel. I think this is a great little actress that they picked for her. So that is a point that I'm going to actually give to lore plus, okay? Because I liked how, I feel like she matches what I would imagine if she was a young Galadriel, okay? As a child. That was good. Again, I enjoyed the brother-sister thing. I'm going to put an enjoy point on that because I really did enjoy this conversation. I thought it was neat. The hair thing, the lore hair thing, okay, we're going to have a big, horrible lore issue there. I don't like that all the elf guys none of them have long hair. I understand if some of them didn't have long hair, but none of them having long hair just bothers me, okay? You see, like, none of them with long hair, okay? They get a major lore reduction point on that for episode 1, and probably for episode 2 as well. That was disappointing. We're going to keep hopping through because I don't want to make this video too long for you guys, but I want you to really have the full what Zollin Ironshield thinks, because I want to be a voice of the rings, or a voice of reason here, with being a little bit more in the middle, because there's a lot of back and forth with this. There's a lot of strife with the Rings of Power right now, with like almost a battlefield with Tolkien fans, and I think that we probably shouldn't be doing that. What we should be doing is picking apart, just like this, what we really disliked and what we really liked. You know what I'm saying? And again, if you're someone who's just like, I don't like any of it, that's fine. I'm like, I totally understand. Or if you're someone that's like, I loved all of it, and I think you're crazy if you don't like any of it. Okay, I understand there are great parts of that too. But again, both of those stances that are extremes on the sides, you have to remember that everyone's going to have different views and opinions on things, okay? And a lot of people are going to be in the middle. You know what I mean? Again, and I think it's probably better to have more moderate opinion. Or if you have one of those extreme opinions, just be gracious to other people who might really like it if you dislike it, or vice versa. If you really like it, the people who really dislike it, just be gracious to them. Don't say mean things to people, guys. Come on. Come on. Every movie is going to be like that. Again, remember The Hobbit? A lot of people, I used to have friends who just absolutely hated The Hobbit, and I'm someone who did not hate The Hobbit. There are parts I disliked. I didn't like the love triangle in The Hobbit. I didn't like Azog chasing them. I thought that was silly because it wasn't the lore. There was a few other things I didn't like. The barrel part, I actually thought it was funny with Bomber, but with the river, but that was it was a little bit too slapstick for me too, from a lore perspective, but it was funny. I kind of enjoyed it still. I thought it was fun. I still thought it was hilarious. Yeah, so just be careful. Be careful what you do to your friends and fellow Tolkien fans. You know, we don't need a giant divide. There's so much dividing in the world today with so many things, with politics and with this and with that. And I just think that we should try our best to just, you know, enjoy. And that's the issue too, right? That's one of the issues where a lot of people are frustrated, right? We don't want to see things brought into our Rings of Power series from our world, because we want to just enjoy it as a group of fans and fantasy fans. So again, I actually thought there wasn't nearly as much as I was expecting. Which is also kind of sad that like we had like 10 years ago we wouldn't have given him as much leeway, and now we give him a lot more leeway. Does that make sense? Because we were expecting so bad that when we were like, oh well, at least for me, it was like, oh, it was moderately good. You know what I mean? I kind of enjoyed it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't all terrible. That I was like, oh yay, good. You know what I mean? It passes, right? It's like, it's kind of, that's a little bit sad that that's the case with things. But again, I did enjoy lots of parts of it, so we'll keep going. So anyway, he tells her a story, which then we find out later, which is like, okay, that's interesting. Again, beautiful. I love the tree wherever this is. It's probably in New Zealand. I don't know. It's gorgeous. And then, of course, we get the epic. Now, there's some epic music right here, which, again, I'm not going to keep marking points for music because I'm not going to remember every moment. So I'm just going to give the positive, negative point for that. This shot, which is the shot we saw from the trail, right, from the sneak peek photo from several months back. This is a plus on the lore. Again, the lore one will always be better than the one I enjoyed, right? But, like, this was just, that is gorgeous, you guys. That is Valinor to me, and, like, that is just an amazing shot, the two trees. That was huge. That was massively huge. All right, so that was a big one for me. I really like that. Then we get the shot of this. Remember, too, guys, remember, I know that some people are like, it's not an excuse to say that they didn't have the rights. Well, here's the thing. They didn't have the rights, you guys, to a lot of things, okay? And I do understand that's not a full excuse if they're adding or changing the things they did have the rights to, okay? So, but I like this whole beginning. Here's where one thing I disagree with a lot of people have said, okay, that I've heard in the grapevine. Because again, I haven't really talked to too many people, except for a couple people now after. But I watched it before I talked to anyone, all right? So I wanted to have a fresh look at it. The whole part where she's talking at the beginning, where she does this whole story, we resisted, blah, blah, blah. They skip a lot of lore, but they hint at a lot of things in this, and they hint at a lot of true lore in this, okay? So, again, I would actually, this whole part where they show the trees wither, they show them going to war, right? And they don't talk about this kinslaying. They skip that because they don't have the rights to that, and they probably didn't want to add that in. Again, remember, one of the big things they're doing is they're trying to bring us into a part of the Second Age story. So that's why they're making these made-up plots, right? Which, again, the made-up plots are not too great, but if they bring it in correctly in episode 3 and 4, we'll see. Maybe it will be good. I don't know. We'll see that in the future, but I'm not holding my breath on that. Like Galadriel did in that ocean. Oh, we'll get there in a minute. So anyway, I actually saw a ton of real lore that they talked about here. I love the maps. Now, it's not a lore thing, but I'm just going to go ahead and put a plus to I enjoyed the maps. They were fantastic. And then, honestly, again, I don't know why people are saying there's no lore at all, because all the stuff she talks about at the beginning is all hinting at actual real lore, okay? Intel one spot. We're going to get there. So they're showing, I'm assuming, the Battle of Wrath, right? And they show... Now, here's the thing. The pile of... As much as I thought it was kind of an interesting thing showing these pile of helmets, I don't know if this is supposed to be like the hill, right, that you hear about in the story, hinted at. Maybe because they didn't have the right to the hill, they did a pile of helmets. But I think I would have rather an actual hill, so I'm going to do a lore inaccuracy there. Oh, I did double. A lore inaccuracy there, because I think it should actually have been a mound, a hill, not of dirt and people, right? Not just a thing of helmets. But you know what? Maybe it's a little less violent for children watching it, okay? Still gets across the point that a lot of elves died, very sadly. So anyway, but again, I gave the lore point already for this whole intro. I loved the fact I really enjoyed seeing Sauron. I'm going to put an enjoy point on this because I was like, when I saw this, I was like, oh yeah. Like, I understand that lore-wise, it's probably not the exact correct time, but you got to show Sauron in his suit right there. Like, you got to, because it ties you into, if you're someone who's only seen the movies and you're not a big Lord of the Rings book fan like me and other people are too, it really brings you in like, oh, dude, it's Sauron. Right? So now here's where I start getting dislike, okay? Here, let me get to it right here. Come on. There it is. Okay, so there's something cool about this, right? So this is where it sways. So all the stuff she talks about in her little spiel at the beginning, which I think is kind of a little nod to the Galadriel intro in the Fellowship, which I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, right? Like that's kind of cool that they have a little nod to that. So actually, I did enjoy that nod. So I'm going to put that. I enjoyed that thoroughly. Okay, what I disliked here with lower accuracy. Okay, they're going to get a bunch of dislikes right here. I really didn't like the fact that this is where they start adding in their little side plot for Galadriel. And instead of telling us that Finrod died in the dungeons of Sauron, saving the person, right? And you go read the books for all the history. They talk about how he was fighting Sauron and died. Now, they give us a little nod at these scratches on his arm, which I talked about in the reviews already, that like he was killed by the werewolves, right? Or the wargs, right? Which I believe they're werewolves in the book. He's killed by one, or a warg or something. I'm trying to remember the exact wording of the book right now. But he's killed by one at saving the one man, right? Again, you can go read the history for the lore of that. I'm not going to go into lore right now. But Galadriel, then, this is where they change the story, okay? So this is where they change it, and she says he was chasing Sauron, and he was killed, so now she's going to take up his hunt, right? And she takes his dagger, and this is where their whole side plot comes in. And here comes the negative, okay? I dislike the change. I dislike it from lore. They both get a big negative there. That was really disappointing to me. All right, so like it's just like, that's not what he was doing. What are you talking about? But again, I understand they're trying to pull it in, but okay. So let's move on. Now, as she takes his knife, we get some shots of them traveling around Middle-earth. Beautiful scenery. I'm going to put I enjoyed, because I love the scenery shots. I love actually seeing the ice. Now, it's a little bit unrealistic, maybe, with them. I think this is a nod to the lore. I'm not going to give points for this, but I just think this is cool to mention. To the Kerith, the passing of the elves when they travel up in the Second Age over the ice bridge in the far north. But again, that doesn't happen in the books here, in the series here. They're just talking about that, right? Okay, so this is all made up, right? This whole part is made up, which is just, it's not that great. But there are some cool spots I like. So I'm going to show you the spots I like and stuff of their adventure. So anyway, it is cool. It's very cool. It also is cool to see how they really don't have issues with the cold as much, because elves don't really get cold. So except, obviously they must get some damage from the cold still. The snow looked great. Now here's where we get, here's where this is the stuff. Again, I actually liked episode 1 and 2 a decent amount, but this is what I really didn't like. This is what turned me off real quick, especially to Galadriel. This attitude she has. Again, remember these people that are with her? I'm pretty sure they're the children that were with her in Valinor. I'm pretty sure. That was kind of a cool thing that once I realized that this is probably the same kid she knocked down on the ground to punch, right? But so she's kind of like, they're kind of her friends too. Which is kind of weird that she's just like her the way she's looking all the time. She looks like someone that's obsessed over something. So like, as an actress, thumbs up to her, because apparently that's what they wanted her to do. I love the scenery. I love seeing the north. This is really cool. I like the fact that we get to see the north. That's a plus for me. But I'm gonna do a dislike because of her attitude, and a like because of the scenery. I really liked seeing the scenery. Actually, as much as some people really didn't like this guy, this made-up character, I actually thought he was fine. I didn't really care either way, so I'm not going to really mark it either way. He has to deal with a lot of crap, so, not going to give. So then, let's go ahead and turn some more background song on there. Then they show us this, which again reminds me of the passage of the elves in the books, right? Then they traveled up through the thing. Again, this is not that time. This is just her company looking for the place, blah, blah, blah. I do like the fact that she stops, and at first she's like not listening, and then she realizes one of her elves fell out of exhaustion, because they realistically would get exhausted. So I don't understand this thing with, we'll talk about it later, but when she jumps in the water, I'm like, I know that you don't get hypothermia and you don't run out of energy as fast as other people, but you will run out of energy, and that's an ocean. So anyway, but I did enjoy that she helped that person, so that was a plus on enjoyment. And then we get the shot here of the okay, something I disliked about this from a realistic point of view. I know it's a fantasy series, but their clothing is not adequate for this kind of weather. So it's a dislike, because that's just, come on. That's one that just bothers me. That took me out of the feel a little bit of this part. Because I'm like, it's not really cold if you're wearing chainmail over your head with no clothing underneath that with leather or any kind of insulation. They probably wouldn't use leather. They'd probably use some kind of sheep's fur or something. But let's move on. So this is a cool part. The fortress was a huge, like, seeing the two things in the lightning bolts and then seeing this shot of the fortress. Wait, can we get to the fortress? Let's get the shot of the fortress here. There we go. Seeing the fortress. This thing is awesome. Like, that thing, sorry for the plus, the little pause thing there. But this thing is utterly just so cool. I really, really liked the fortress shot. That thing is so cool, okay? It made me think of the Witch King of Angmar or Morgoth. Again, the Witch King technically isn't around yet, so it wouldn't be the Witch King. But it's really cool. I mean, try to think of the time frame here. Fall of Numenor. Yeah, Witch King isn't around. I don't think Witch King... Nope, he's not around yet. But really cool fortress. Really makes me think of one of Morgoth's fortresses, which, again, they don't tell us the name because they don't have the rights to those parts of his history, but they're obviously hinting at one of his old fortresses he escaped to, so I'm going to say a big like for that one. Oh, that is not what I want to do. Do not... No, that was 10, right? Yeah, there we go. So, yeah, I like the fortress a lot. So now they go into the fortress, and now we're going to get some dislikes and likes. Again, I'm not going to give more likes for Inside the Fortress, because I think the fortress looks excellent. I was very enthralled with the fortress, and even them in it, it made me think, wow, this place is huge. This is crazy, right? But a little comment about, you know, oh, it's so evil that we can't feel the heat from the torches. As a dislike. I didn't like that. Thought it was kind of silly, a little too corny for me. So now they're going to the fortress. Fortress looks great. I love how it looks. And then we hit, let's see, we get this spot. All right, so she sees the ice wall, right? And she punches the ice wall, right? She sees this ice wall and she punches it. This would have been a really good spot to show Galadriel's magic ability. Right? She already has it, you guys. It's the Rings of Power did not give her magic. They only amplified it. She already has magical ability. And I know Tolkien doesn't use a whole lot of magic in his books, so they might be being like, oh, we don't want to use too much magic to make it unrealistic. But let's be frank, at this point, instead of an aggressive punch that made her seem again more just like, argh! And less of her graceful character that we like from the books, I would have liked a little swish of her hand and it just melted whole. Like, that would have been really cool to me, okay? So I'm going to say, actually, let's see. This is going to be just a dislike, because I don't think that's like a horrible lore inaccuracy, but I didn't like it at all. I would have really liked to see her use some magic there. That would have been a good spot to show it. And anyway, she gets through there, and then they're going through here. Again, she just looks so angry. Look at how angry she looks. I'm sorry. I'm getting another horrible lore dislike just for the fact. I know I already gave it for that, but she's just so obsessed. Like, it's to a silly degree for me. I understand a little bit of the I'm avenging my brother. That's fine. But she's like so mean to everyone around her, and just it doesn't feel like the Galadriel from the books to me. And we know what she was like at this time from the books, by the way. So, yeah. Again, I can understand a little bit of it. I'm giving them leeway because of an adaptation. I understand that, but I really didn't like that. So, again, now we're going to here. And then we see the cool anvil, which I really liked. And he goes, "What devilry is this?" I really liked that line. That was a great line. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that line. I love that. That made me think of Lord. And then we see the orc. Again, I like this whole part. I thought this was cool. I'm like, ooh, okay. We're seeing some evil magic here, right? So this is cool. All right. Now, one of the orcs are meddling with powers of the unseen world. Now, we're getting into the unseen versus the seen world, which if you are a Tolkien fan, you know that is basically the dimension between the living and not the dead, but the unseen world, okay? They're like two dimensions which the Nazgul are mostly in the unseen, but they're still sort of in the physical too. That's why they can hurt people. But also elves, some elves that have been from Valinor are in both the unseen and seen world. So that's pretty cool too. Yeah. Anyway, humans aren't usually. Gandalf is though, because he's a Maiar. So I just think it's cool. This whole part, I like this. I thought it was cool with the eye thing that it doesn't freeze where he put his thing because he's like evil magic, right? Again, here's the obsession thing. I'm not going to keep giving dislike points for the same thing, but I didn't like it through the whole thing. Then she's like being more realistic. Let's rest while we can. All right, blah, blah, blah. The eye thing is interesting to me. Is cool because one thing that Nerd of the Rings pointed out is that if you take it and you move it sideways, it kind of looks like it could be Mordor, which would make sense, like an eye with Mordor, the way they do the mountains. So it's an interesting thought. But again, it wouldn't make much sense to me that all the elves couldn't figure that out. The wisest elves. That's also what Nerd of the Rings said. So yeah, I don't know about that. So we're going to keep going through here. So now we're going to get to another thing here. This guy calls out a troll, and me and my cousin had a conversation about this whole fight. We were both disappointed in the battle chorus, the fighting, right? So basically, the troll is coming around after him. He throws down a torch at the end of the thing, right down there, and they're like, "Where'd he go?" And if you realize where he originally came from, he came from up high, right? So we saw him hide originally a few frames, a minute or so ago, and then you see him come down from the top. So I'm not quite sure why they're just staring straight down the hull, because they know there's up high, right? And they know that that guy realized that the snow troll came from up high. By the way, I like the snow troll, so I'm actually going to give a lore accuracy. I know that's weird, but that's because I've seen snow trolls in other games with ideas, and snow trolls aren't really ever been fleshed out that much because we don't get them in Peter Jackson's stuff. We've only gotten them in a few other games, like the Battle from Middle-earth and stuff, and a few other places, like War in the North. And I actually like the snow troll. Even the tusks, they were fine. I didn't care that much. I just thought he looked like a snow troll to me with the fur and stuff and almost like prehistoric. So I like that. I'm going to give that a lore plus because I liked it that much. I really liked the snow troll. I thought it was really cool. A lot of the animals I really liked how they did in the Rings of Power. God, this troll is an animal. Anyway, so then they know he's here, right? And then out of the nowhere, right, a giant freaking piece of ice gets thrown at these guys. And again, by the way, when you hold a sword, I don't know who puts their sword on their arm. So that was a dislike, because that was just like, what the heck? That was weird to me as someone who likes medieval fighting and stuff. It's just weird. Like, I guess you could rest it for a minute, but if someone attacks you and your sword's like this, now your arm's just out in the front in the way. Now, if you had some kind of shield on your arm and you could put your spear or something through it, like resting to stab, like that would make sense. But I didn't like how they did it. So the troll comes in, and now, again, he looks really cool. I really like the snow troll. I like how he looks. He looks like a troll, except he's got snow buildup and like these things on him and fur, and he's like, rah, right? And how strong he is. I like the fact that they decided, that Galadriel would just kind of stare. Like the way, I don't know if it meant this or not, but it seemed like she was just staring for like 5 seconds as her guides and her, both elves and men and women, are being just destroyed by this troll, right? So I disliked that, okay, with the fight. I really didn't like the fact, and I'm going to put within that dislike, I'm also going to put in the fact that she does that jump off the sword. It wasn't as bad as Legolas climbing up rocks, but it was pretty bad still. And then I will say I did like the way she stabs him in the throat. That was realistic, like how to kill him. And then it was a little silly when she does the knife on the head. I'm like, okay, all right. Well, yeah, finish him off. Good. Make him suffer for a while. And then nobody was wounded. Like, they just got the snot beat out of them. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're fine. They'll stand up. The elves. I know elves are very strong and resilient, but they could still get broken bones. And I know they heal quickly, but I don't know. That looked pretty painful with that that trolled into him. So I don't know. What do you guys think on that? I think it was a little too much. Overinflating the fight, and then Galadriel destroys it. You know what I mean, kind of thing. So yeah, that's why anyway I'm gonna do the dislike there. Again, I like the fact that I'm gonna give a like though too, because I like the fact that they had her stab it with her longsword in the throat. That was the one thing that made logical sense once it was down. And her cutting its like leg, that was like where it like falls down. Like I was like, okay, well that's fine. So those are bonus points. Okay, again, likes and dislikes of everything. That's my goal in this review. Okay. And then we see the troll again, and then she's still obsessed to keep going, and then they decide they're going to not follow her anymore. And I'm just like, again, this whole part is made up, you guys. And I'm just like, it has to do with the obsession, right? That she has. They're trying to show that, like, you know, hey, we've gone past our thing. She's not only is she obsessed, she's disobeying the king, Gil-galad, and it's like, again, it's all made up for the Rings of Power, so if you're someone who doesn't really know about what's lore accurate or not, this whole part is made up. Her whole travels to the north. So anyway, they say, we're not going to follow you, and she's like, okay, all right, whatever. So they ended up, at least she's smart enough to go back. All right, then we get the Rings of Power. Again, the maps, I love the maps. I loved how they moved and stuff. So here's the thing. I'm going to give a lore accurate point for the maps, because I really liked all the maps in episode 1. I kind of wish they had kept doing that in episode 2. That's a little bit of disappointment. Later, I'll see that in my second review for episode 2. Then we get this shot, which I was not thinking was going to be in Rovanian, okay? But this area was very gorgeous before Sauron. So that the Dead Marshes aren't here yet, because the Battle of the Second, they're not here yet. So this is all gorgeous area. This would be the Dead Marshes right here, right? In front of, this is Mount Doom. I mean, this is the Black Gate would normally be right here where my mouse is, right there. Right over there. Yes, let me make sure you guys can see my mouse. Just make sure. Boop. Yeah, you can. Good. Just double checking. Yeah, so Mount Doom right here. I mean, Black Gate. This would be the Dead Marshes normally, but it's not yet. So the Hobbits are somewhere in here. All right. So that's what they're saying, which is sort of okay, because later in the Third Age, when they actually come into the lore, they're up here. So the Hobbits, I gotta turn on my air conditioner for one, because it's way too hot here. The Hobbits for me, I enjoyed some of it from just a nostalgia point of view, because it's Hobbits, right? Like we see in Peter Jackson's, but it wasn't needed. So yeah, we're gonna have to do a big lore inaccurate for the Hobbits, because they're not supposed to be there. Sorry. All right. So anyway, let's hop through here a little bit. Then we get these two guys. Again, I thought this area was gonna be like up in Eriador, but it's not. It's down here in Rovanian, which is fine. It makes sense, because this area is very beautiful, and the Ent spirits are here, or the Ent wives, taking care of this area. I don't know. They haven't showed them, but that's in the books. They're around this area. And then you get these guys, like, we had a conversation of these antler things. Again, the characters were fine, but I thought the whole part was kind of weird to make the Hobbits seem like they're these. I mean, I guess the whole point is the Hobbits are hiding, right? And no one really knows about them, and that's why they're here on the Second Age, right before the Third Age. Okay, I guess. Again, lore inaccurate. That's why I put that point there. The big antlers, really kind of random. Are they gonna sell them? What are they doing with these antlers? Like, and the real question is, those antlers are probably heavy, unless there's some kind of like hollowed out antlers that naturally are light or something. So anyway, I'm gonna give this part a dislike, because I don't know. I didn't really like this very much. They're fine. Their acting was fine, and it was funny, but then yeah. So we'll keep going on here. But anyway, the Harfoots, again, I like this guy. He's funny. I like the first Hobbit they show, right? He makes me think of a very stealthy little Hobbit man. Moving on. This is a cool shot of a dragonfly. We're going through. Anyway, I like the fact that they're all hiding, right? They have their little movable whole area and stuff. Again, I don't really know what's going on with him with the skies are strange kind of thing. Like, Why does he even know this stuff? Like, what is all this? Like, can we get some more background? What are all these symbols he has? Like, these hieroglyphs. Like, I didn't get any of that, right? So I'm just gonna sorry, another dislike, because I don't know what the heck is going on with this character. Again, he was funny. I thought he was very funny. I liked, and I get the point of what they're trying to do, but I'm really hoping the Hobbits aren't going to be too big of an influence in this series. I hope that it's just going to be kind of a fun, you know, side fan service. We have Hobbits kind of thing, right? I am hoping that's what it's going to be. So we don't know. This is episode 1 we're reviewing. So they were funny. I did like the Hobbits. I really liked the dad Hobbit, and I really did actually like the Nori Hobbit. I thought she did a good job. So I'm going to do a like with that, even though it's not a lore thing. So I'm going to keep going through here. I like the fact that she was smart enough to realize, and I also like the fact that she's just this generic looking hobbit, right? She's not this like amazing looking adventurer like other characters. She's just a hobbit, right? So that was fine to me. And then they're like, get to see a little bit of Hobbit moment of them doing the whole sneaking into a garden thing, right? And then, again, I really, really did not like the fact that, I'm sorry, one thing, as much as I got used to her name being Nori, that's a dwarf name, so I'm sorry, that is a incorrect with the lore. So, that's a big one for me. I don't know, why would they name a hobbit Nori? Come on. That was a big, silly one for me. So then we're getting through this, they're collecting the berries, the little kid decides to see, you know, this kid, big, okay, for me, this kid, the kid that sees the track, right? Right, is it gonna show it? Okay, anyway, they show a little shot of the warg in the back, and then this kid, I really like this one kid, oh man, I can't find the clip anymore, I'm sorry. I had it, and then it was just gone. Alright, yeah, this little kid, though, I loved the big eyes, just like they did in Peter Jackson's adaptation. So that is a definite like. I enjoyed that. Like, I was like, that's a Hobbit child. That is a Hobbit child. And then they see the little flash of the warg or the wolf that's up there. They call it a wolf, right? Because at this time, I think it would probably be a wolf. But very, very cool. It's almost like a prehistoric wolf or warg. Look at how cool this thing is. This thing is cool. Again, for me, I'm like, I like that so much that I'm going to give that a lore correct positive. I know you're like, how could that be lore correct? I'm doing that more as lore correct as in like, it's even more than just a like. I loved the wargs, what they looked like. Okay, they were, this is cool. I mean, we haven't seen them yet, and I thought they were just really cool. All right, so again, I like that. It made me feel like Middle Earth with those creatures. And now we pop to Elrond of Rivendell, which he's not Rivendell yet. All right, Elrond, here hidden behind this tree. Okay. All right, so a little controversy here with this one because I really, really enjoyed Elrond's character, and I think this actor did a good job, and he reminded me of the actor from Peter Jackson's adaptations, and he also reminds me of Elrond from the books. Now, the one thing I disliked, which we'll talk about in a minute in episode 1, is that they called him a diplomat. Or, no, a politician or something. One of those things. Diplomat would be fine, but I think they call him a politician. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? Just because he's wise and he's good with people doesn't... yeah, anyway, again, I let that slide just because, you know, it's not every people. A lot of us have bad connotation towards politicians, right? Because a lot of them are not great. But, I mean, there's a couple good ones here and there. But, you know, I guess you could just match him to one of the good ones, right? But if that's what they're trying to think. I thought he was pretty lore accurate. I know some people were like, oh, he's not lore accurate like Galadriel. No. I think he did a good job for what they gave him with the wrong attitude of Galadriel, because he's strong with Galadriel, but at the same time he's like patient with her, and again, that's not how Galadriel should be at all, in my opinion. She shouldn't have been like that at all. But he's really respectful to her, like what I would think, but yet very stern, right? At the same time, which we see later. So I'm actually giving Elrond a lore correct, because I think he was, at least in the first episode and 2, was he's the right-hand man of Gil-galad. He's writing a speech here for Gil-galad, if you didn't realize that in the show. They show her say, you're not really welcome for the meeting because you're not an elf lord, which he is going to be an elf lord in the future. And that's a nod at the fact that he is half elf, right? Where his brother went to be human in Numenor, or the first king of Numenor, and he decided to be immortal, right? Because his mom and dad were elf and human, right? One of the two pairings, right? Okay. Got it? So anyway, that's... I actually really liked Elrond. I did not see, people were saying that he was weak and he was being kind of like a wuss and all this kind of stuff. I didn't see that at all. Like, I watched it a second time, like, looking for that when I heard people say that, and I'm like, I don't know where people are getting that. Like, I really didn't. Feel free to leave a comment in the exact area that you think, if you're someone who thinks that, leave a comment. Don't get mad at me. Leave a comment and say what you didn't like and where he said something you didn't like, and then how you took it, right? Maybe it's how some other people took a certain phrase and I didn't take it that way, right? So I would be interesting to hear where people think that it actually is, who do think that. I really thought Elrond was a great character. I disliked the hair, but we already gave a negative point for elven hair, but I'm going to do a dislike just because where's the long hair? All right, so that's a dislike for me. We already did a negative lore point for the hair on elves, though. All right, so again, they talk about, and then he says, oh, my friend's here, Galadriel. I love that. I love that he was excited to see her. I just felt like that was cool. And then we get to a beautiful shot of, where did they show the, oh, I want to see the shot of, here it is. There it is. We get the shot of Linden, which goes by apparently so fast that I can't even get to it. Yeah, it's just like not even there. All right, well, so be it. It's saying it's right there, yet I don't see it. That shot of Linden, oh, it's got to be a lore correct, dude. Linden looks great. Like the shot and like the trees and how everything looks. It feels like Middle-earth to me. Linden is what I imagined in the books. Like, I was like, this is so cool. It's kind of like Lothlorien with the beautiful malon trees and the gold leaves everywhere, and everything is just gorgeous and looks thousands of years old, but, like, still pristine. Like, yeah, Linden was awesome, you guys. That was awesome. I really liked Linden. All right, so, and then you get Galadriel. Now she's got a nice little, like, I like her setup of her clothes here. I like their little conversation, the beautiful painting art, so that's like, right, I'm gonna just, boop, like that, because I like their conversation here to an extent. And then we get to, and this is, again, you see a guy playing music, and this looks elven to me. Really well done. Of course, we're focusing on them, but if you look behind, like, look at these guys in their armor defending, and then these people with their things, and he's got his little harp, and they're playing, and, like, this is really cool. Again, that was all within that like I just did, so. And the lore accurate. So then, now she's starting to act more like the Galadriel we know in the first part of this conversation. And I was like, okay, cool. And I like it that they showed that they were friends. They didn't do some weird thing like, oh, Elrond and Galadriel like each other. I would have been furious if they had done that. So I'm just going to do a like because I like the fact that they made their friendship seem like they were really close friendship. So that was nice. This is like this face she's making, that's the face of the Galadriel I know from the books and from Peter Jackson's. I like that this is what I thought of, not that warring, obsessed, whatever character that was in the previous part. Okay, so this is a positive. That was within the like I just gave to. Okay, so this is good for me. So now they start having a conversation, and it's nice conversation, and then she starts having a different face, and then again he kind of like. Then they popped to this one, right, where they could talk more privately, and then basically she's still obsessed, right? Look at that scenery in the back, though, you guys. Look at that shot of the ocean, Linden. This is Linden. The scenery is Middle-earth. So again, a lot of people were worried it wasn't going to look like Middle-earth. It looks like Middle-earth. Remember I was telling you guys in my reviews, don't worry about that. That's not the issue. The issue will be writing and if they bring in stuff from our world issues. Those would be the issues. And guess what? All the issues I disliked, those were a lot of the issues. So again, a little bit disappointed in the music, like I already said, but we already put that dislike there. So anyway, this he's being really nice to her. She gets a little bit of grumpy about it. Now this is her. That face, that's Galadriel. More regal, more nice. And then she goes, "You really have become a politician." And I'm like, this is where everybody who was a Tolkien fan went, what? He's a good leader is what he is. He's not being a, like, Anyway, let's let it slide because I think they mean it in the good sense of the word. But a lot of us don't have good, we don't want our favorite character Elrond tied to that word. So I'm not going to say either way, like or dislike. But I already kind of put a dislike for it. So anyway, then she's kind of stubborn about it, right? Again, there's the stubborn face. It's like, that's not Galadriel. It's just not her. All right. But Elrond, he, by refusing to heed any limits placed upon you, he gets right to the point with her. And that's the Elrond I know. That's why I gave him the lore accurate point, because he is like, that's the Elrond I really love, right? And he's really nice to her still, but he's stern about it. And look at his face. He's like, hey, come on, right? You may find him less respectful than you might have hoped, right? Receptive, right? He's basically saying, you really screwed up. And you're not even the Galadriel we know from the books with what you did. But since you did that thing and disrepaid the king, you should take this thing, right? So I was like, oh, that kind of stuff. She's kind of annoyed about it, right? Again, not the Galadriel I know with that face at all. But Elrond, great. That face, like, that's Elrond. He's like, yeah, you should do this, right? So again, I really liked Elrond. I thought he was really well done, at least in the second episode. We'll see in the future what happens in the future. Again, I already gave a like for this, but I liked the dad. And then Nori, which again, I don't like that she has a dwarf name, but these two characters, they actually were very endearing, I felt like, and again, I think it's more the fan service of, we have hobbits in the show, right? But yeah, so then we get some, they're eating snails, and her mom wasn't bad. She was kind of useless. She basically was not useless as a person or hobbit, as useless as into the storytelling. She's like just kind of there to say, we don't go anywhere outside the house, right? That was kind of like the thing, right? So we're just not going to worry about that either way, because I didn't really dislike it and I didn't really like it, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Again, she basically says, no, you can't go outside. We are outside, but you can't leave the house, which is our little traveling caravan. And then we get a little shot of the kids being told a story by an older hobbit. And I think that is, I like that, okay? I like it because I like the fact that that nods to Peter Jackson's with Bilbo telling the story to the kids, right? It's a nod. There's a couple nods to Peter Jackson's adaptations in this one, and I like that. It brought in a little bit of feeling of the originals. Some of these, okay, I did not dislike on the hair stuff, right? They all have plants in their hair. What the heck? Like what does this serve? What do these plants even serve to have in your hair? Like, is it some cultural thing that they're doing as a more primitive hobbit? I don't know. That was weird to me. I didn't like the hair. I didn't like the stuff in their hair. I don't know. I think they should have just had messed up hair. You know what I mean? Just crazy looking hair. More like, Nori has. Well, she has plants in her hair too, I guess, but and then we get a spot with her giving a berry to her mom. I thought that was cute at the end. That was sweet. All right, I like that. I kind of like that. Okay, I know. You guys are like, stop it, Voice of the Ring. Stop being so kind to their script writing. It's like, but it was sweet. Then we get this shot. Oh, yes. I already gave a lore accurate point to Lyndon, so I can't just give another one for free. But I'm going to put a like because this scene is awesome, right? I really love the waterfalls. We saw this in the thing. You can see the beautiful bay coming in out there. Really, really nice. I really like this part. I like the part Gil-galad. This is where we first see Gil-galad. So we'll pop over to him here real quick. Gil-galad, so far in what I've seen of him in episode 1 and 2, he is the Gil-galad that I would imagine. And one thing we see later is that he sees the one leaf, and I believe it's a vision when it has the black, it's like melting, like dying leaf. I think it's a vision. I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember in the books. Does Gil-galad have the vision? I think he might have the foretelling like Elrond does. But you know, usually high elves have that ability of some sort. But he really made me think of the Gil-galad from the books and from other things I've seen. So that is actually going to be a lore positive. Gil-galad was excellent. He was what I was hoping for. We don't get a lot of him. I would really like to have more of Gil-galad. I really hope we do, right? Because he's a main character in the Second Age, so I want to see more of him in the actual thing. I understand they're going to try to probably make him like this back figure where he's like the, you've come back from your adventure, here's your reward kind of thing, right? As like the main, like, you know, quest giver. But I don't know, I kind of would like him to be one of the adventurers, if that makes sense in the story, because he is in the books. So we'll see how that works out in the next episodes when I do more reviews. I love the fact that Galadriel, even though she doesn't like that he kind of what Elrond wrote is kind of not true about her made-up adventure, mind you. Remember, the adventure's made up. But I like the fact that she takes it with grace and she takes the crown anyway, right? And that she accepts his gift. That was, I'm going to say, a like, because I thought that was well done, because if they're going to make up that storyline, at least make it where Galadriel is respectful to King Gil-galad. If she had, like, not taken his crown and just walked away or something, oh my gosh, that would have been horrible. Would have been just utter horrible. You know what I mean? That would have been really, 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 really bad. So I'm really glad that that wasn't the case and that she didn't do that. So that was good. I thought that was good how they did that for the made-up addition into the real. Another beautiful shot of the elves, and just that's such a great shot. Awesome. Anyway, let's keep going. And then he's, you know, says his line, right? And then there is a little bit of an eye thing here where she's kind of like, she can, you know, he knows that she knows that, you know, it's not entirely true, and Elrond's looking on, right? But again, yeah, it's fine. Their armor is kind of cool. It's probably ceremonial, right, armor? But it has a very, like, French almost influence to me. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think about their armor? Leave a comment. You're always welcome to add your additions to any of this, guys. Again, she, like, kind of like, and then takes it, you know, a little bit too, so a little bit dislike there. I'm going to say, I'm going to have a dislike for her not really taking it with total grace, right? Elrond, he's great. He's fine. He looks good. Moving on, right? He, great. Look at this shot. Like, that's so cool. It's so cool, you guys. And then, they will be escorted to the Grey Havens. Now, here's a weird lore inaccuracy. Him granting them to be able to go to the Undying Lands. I'm going to say inaccurate. Because elves, I thought were able to just go and take the ships. I didn't think they needed to be granted it by a high king of elves. So, I don't know about that one. All right, not sure about that one. That's a dislike for me on the lore. Again, he's great. That's why I gave a lore positive. I really like him. Now we get a shot of fireworks. All right, so here's the thing with the fireworks. I thought the fireworks were just for I thought the fireworks were only... I thought the wizards invented fireworks. Did the elves have fireworks before wizards? I don't think they did. I think Gandalf invented fireworks. I thought it was. Maybe I'm wrong on that one from the lore. I'm trying to remember. But they were cool, so I'm not going to give a dislike or a like either way on this one. All right? Because I actually enjoyed the fireworks. I thought they were cool. And then we get this. This is really cool, okay? Super cool, you guys. Because... we get Finrod engraved into the tree, the living tree, right? That's still alive. And then you get a shot right here, over there on the side. That is the one elf holding the dragon helm, I believe, right? It's a nod at the book, right? From the Children of Hurin, right? Over there. That's really cool. And then you also have a shot of Hun the Hound and Luthien right over here, which they will show us a better close-up. That's behind the camera right here, but they're going to show you a better close-up here in a second. So that was really cool. So I'm going to say with lore accuracy, with just having them have statues of them, they get a point for that, because that's really cool that they nodded at that, even though technically they don't have the rights to it, but they were allowed to show an image of it without talking about it, right? So that was kind of cool. Now we see this again, gorgeous, just beautiful. Again, I'm going to give a like just because this area is awesome. And I'm going to give a like, too, for this scene with Elrond, because Elrond, again, is awesome. I really disliked the conversation here. Now, she reminds me of Galadriel here with her more, majestic-looking white robe look. And if you notice, there it is. There's Luthien and the Hound, which we gave the lower accuracy point for. That's super cool, right? That's really cool. It is interesting to me. This is a nod at the angry Galadriel, I think, because if you notice for a second, it is greenish. Do you remember in The Lord of the Rings when she freaks out, she's going to take the ring and she turns green? I almost think that's a nod at this a little bit. I noticed that, but just a side note. Now she goes, my brother gave his life hunting Sauron. Again, this is the made-up plot, okay? And then we have, we already gave a negative point for this made-up plot. And then Elrond is great here. She is not. I don't like the fact that he says, I've seen stuff too. And she's like, you have not seen what I've seen. And she repeats it. I'm like, come on, how old are you? It's childish, so it's a dislike. All right? Elrond is a like in this part. So he gets a like. She gets a dislike in that, okay? So, yeah, I did not like that at all. Again, he is so Elrond, and then he gets mad at her almost, right? And he says, how many elves are you going to kill, right? And, I like that, because that felt like Elrond. Because Elrond, remember in Lord of the Rings, he doesn't want to go fight with his elves anymore. He wants to just be in Rivendell, because he thinks that everyone else, the men are weak, and everyone's weak, right? So, I think it was kind of a cool nod that Elrond has a backbone, right? He gets, it is over, the evil is gone kind of thing. But then he's almost trying to reassure his friend, and I like the fact that he tries to reassure her in the fake made-up personality of her, that it's okay, don't worry, it'll work out, we'll handle it, go to Valinor, right? Even though she never actually goes to Valinor. Guys, she never does, okay? So, but anyway, again, this is such a silly line. I it's, I guess you could take it as sweet, but the way the actress, they told her to portray, to act it, it's not sweet. If she said, I am grateful you have not known evil as I have. But she doesn't say it like that. She goes, I am grateful that you have not known the evil that I have. It's gee, you don't know anything, Elrond. It's I know you're a lot older, Galadriel, but come on, that seems kind of a little childish for an elf of your age, right? And again, and then he says, let us say that all as you fear. And then he's, his normal Elrond selves. And the enemy is out there somewhere lying in wait, which we do know is the case, right, in the story. That's real. And of course, what do we find out later? That she's actually looking in the wrong place. I know it's made up, her plot, that she went to the north, but actually she finds out she should have been in the south, right? Will you lead more elves to die on far-off lands? See, I love that line from Elrond, because it was it was getting back at her personality of thinking she knows what's best. You will linger an outcast. All right, so he's saying you should... And also, where is Celeborn? Where's her husband? Because I'm pretty sure should be married at this point. So I'm going to say lore inaccurate for that one. Boop. Just off the top of my head. I'm like, wait a second. Where is it? You fought long enough, Galadriel. Again, it's silly because of course she's going to fight longer into the Third Age as a defender of things. But whatever. And then we get another shot where we are shown a map of where we're going. And it's very quick. But they actually show us that they just took us to Mordor, I believe. I think. I'm pretty sure they put us in... Southlands, okay? And they bring us into... Let's see if I can actually get a good shot of the map here. It really doesn't want to show what I want to see. 35? Yeah, it really doesn't want to show it. Basically, this next area they show us beautiful, serene. This is inside of Mordor, I believe. The southern lands, or it's below. I believe they show it actually inside, near where the big lake is in this valley. So this is before Sauron kind of messes up Mordor. So Mordor was a pretty place in the original history of it. So I'm actually going to give this a lore correct because I really like that a lot. I like the fact that they're showing us the before Sauron, and that it was actually really pretty and stuff. And this is correct that the characters around there would be from Harad and from Rhûn, and they would be of darker skin descent, right? Because those are the people that live in those areas, and that they're not all evil, by the way, guys. So if you read the books by Tolkien, I don't know why they're feeling the need to try to make it like, oh, well, you know, people are like, Tolkien made it where it was, you know, darker skinned people were the bad guys. That's not true. Okay, they were, a lot of them were, but there were a lot that resisted Sauron, which I hope they'll show in this Second Age thing, that they're resisting Sauron. That would be cool. But there were a lot. The Blue Wizards went to the east, went to Rhûn, went to these areas. They're the ones that helped. Maybe that's what they do here in the series. Maybe that Meteor Man we find out will be one of the Blue Wizards, is what I'm guessing and hoping. But I believe that, or from what I know with, what I know with Tolkien is that there were lots of people that resisted in the East, the Easterlings. There were actually factions that resisted Sauron and said he was evil, even though a big majority joined Sauron. So I thought this was interesting, that this is the right area for a mixture of people, because some people would be coming from Numenor, some people would be coming from maybe the Western, you know, peoples, and then we'd have the Eastern and Southern, right? We'd have lots of different mix of people probably in this area at this time. So this was fine. I thought this was cool. I thought it was neat to see the cool areas. I loved the village. I'm going to say I like, because I thought the village was cool. I like the look of it. Like, it's really cool. Look at I like the village. I liked how they showed it. A little bit run down. I think that even though it's made up now with this this elf character, right? With the main character, I like the character. Okay, it's not lore accurate, but I'm going to put a like for that character because I actually liked his more regal, calm elf side. Okay, I really did like that a lot. I thought it was good. So yeah, that was good. That was good. I like the fact that he tells the one guy what to move to win, just by glancing at it, right? And so obviously they have some friendships going on. Apparently the elves, right, are like watching over the humans. Again, this is not lore accurate, but the thing is, it could be. So I'm not going to give it a negative because we don't really know what happened down there as much in this area. That would the elves have sent some watch people to watch after the Wars of Wrath and stuff? Maybe they did. I'm not going to say a negative on the point or anything because I don't think there's enough info. I really like this character. I like this whole scene. I thought it was really well done. I liked it was just, I thought it was cool, right? Now, actually, it's funny because there's actually something I would have thought in this particular village that there would be more people from Harad, right? Or from backgrounds. You know, these people obviously are, maybe they're from Numenor, Umbar. I don't think they'd really be from Numenor. They're probably people that live already, the people that are here, right? Most Numenorians are going to be staying in Numenor. So, but again, they're real, like, you know, scary looking people, like, and stuff. But anyway, I really like that character though. I like the part where this kid gets mad and kind of makes a comment to the elf, and then when, you know, he knocks the drink out of the other guy's hand, the guy goes to punch him, and the elf stops the old guy, like, because, you know, the old guy's trying to defend the elf because he doesn't want there to be an issue because they're kind of the overseers, right? But, like, the elf's like, no, it's not worth it. Just let it go, right? He's a stupid kid. I like that. I thought the whole part was good. What was he mad about? Again, you know, the elves are oppressing them, I guess, kind of thing. Idea going on. It's probably a dislike for me. But the scene is good. I already did a like for the scene. I'm not going to do another one. But it's just, I think that I think this whole part was really well done. And then, you know, our master will come back. Is he talking about Sauron? Is he bold enough is that what he's saying? Or is he talking about a different human king, right? That's the thing. That's what I'm not sure with that character. But anyway, I still think it was good because the kid realizes, oh wow, thanks. You know, and the elf's like, come on, man. And then you get the whole the love scene thing. I'm gonna say right now, you guys, I thought this would be way worse this love scene thing. I actually like it was very mild and very sweet to, and it was like I'm not gonna say a like or dislike honestly at this point, because I'm like, until I see more episodes. For episode 1, it was like, okay, that was fine. It's not lore accurate to have. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Okay, it's not lore accurate, so I am gonna give it a negative point for not being lore accurate, but I'm gonna give it an enjoy point because I did enjoy it. I thought it was sweet and stuff, and I like the fact that after they have this whole part, she gives him some of the flower seeds, which I believe are the same flower seeds that grow on the tombs of the Rohirrim graves. I think someone mentioned that, and I was hearing about, so that's kind of cool little side note there. So they're tying it with actual herbology lore of Tolkien's lore. That's cool. So I'm going to give that a like for that, because I think that's a really cool thing. And then he's worried that you crush them. And then he talks a little bit about their people versus, her healing, being a healer. And this guy's like, oh, what happened there? And then this guy, I really like this guy, except he totally reminds me of the bard from The Witcher. I don't know why. He just has that look, this guy. But I really did like this guy. I thought he was good. I like the fact he's like, anything to report? What was at the well, right? He knows something's going on, so I'm going to like that, because I like this character. I like the fact that, and then I like that he kind of talks about, you can't do that right here. Look at that beautiful shot, by the way. Oh, I love Harad. Again, another like, because I really liked this whole shot. It was just awesome. I like the cool watchtower. And of course, he talks about the whole thing of, hey, again, this will go on the other like I already gave him, but, it ended bad for both the people that got together. So my guess is, just like another historical character, that they might like each other, but it might not work out. That's what I think maybe they'll go for in this series. We'll see. So it won't be so then it won't be messing with the lore, right? Because there's only been like 3 matches ever. The first 2, and then Arwen and Aragorn, right? Which will be later in the future. I feel like theirs isn't going to work out. It's going to be kind of the thing. Spoilers, but I think that's what they're going to do. Maybe not. We'll see. Maybe they'll just change it. But anyway, really cool. The High King has declared the days of war are over. And they're like, oh, okay. All right. Again, the short hair. We already gave a negative point. But why does everybody have short hair? This I don't mind that it's shorter, but still a little long in the back, like Elrond has in this guy. But like, what is this? What are these buzz cuts? Like, I understand if you're in war all the time that you probably don't want to have long hair as much, right? Because it'd get in the way. But so I'm like, okay, I understand that. But I mean, they haven't really been fighting. They've just been watching. Why would they? I don't know. I love this ladder. So did my this cool wood ladder. This ladder is amazing. It's super cool. My sister liked this ladder too. We're gonna give a point for that because it's just a cool ladder. I know you're like, that's not worth a point. Oh, okay, all right. Well, I like this elf guy. I thought he seemed like a really stern commander who's been watching this pot for 100 years, kind of thing. I thought he was a cool character. He was fine. Then look at that shot, you guys. Oh man, look at it. That's amazing. That is so cool. The visuals, that is Middle Earth to me, you guys. The visuals were fantastic. This is one of the reasons why I liked stuff. All right, so now let's pop over to surprisingly enough, I like these 2 characters. I liked it because they seemed realistic to me. They didn't seem stupid and stuck, right? I don't like characters that seem stuck. For example, a lot of the Hobbit characters, a lot of them just kind of seem stuck there, which is kind of like, eh. So by the way, I'm going to throw that from a reactive dislike from that knowledge. I didn't like how a lot of the Hobbit characters are just kind of stuck there. So, but I really like these characters, so I'm going to give them both just one like for the 2 characters. I already kind of said it about her, but her son too. I thought they were actually really well done. And then we get the little whole conversation here, all this kind of stuff, and again, his armor is cool looking but very unrealistic. But look at that scenery. Oh, the scenery is so good, but we can't keep going over the same things over and over, so let's keep going here. This is actually, I thought it was kind of a neat conversation where she's kind of like, you gotta say it, say what you wish to say, elf. Don't be dragging me on, right? Like, I like that he's, he kind of makes it like, oh, I haven't said it with words. I said it every other way, though. But I thought that was kind of, like, cute, it's kind of sweet. But maybe a little bit corny. You heal animals too, right? And then this guy comes to the front door, and we get the sickly cow, which is just so sad. This poor cow. And then, you know, he checks the cow and finds out it has some black goo coming out. Ah, it's a dislike. That was so gross. Why did they do that? Ugh. It's so gross. We did not need to see that. You could have just said, oh, yeah, it's real sick. We can see it looks very kind of skeleton-y. Again, I don't think this is probably a real cow. They probably CGI'd somehow, some way. Maybe. I don't know. Because otherwise that would be sad because it's way too bony. So I have a feeling this might be a real cow in the front and they CGI'd the back. That's my guess. Beautiful. Look at that shot though around her house. So good. Oh, we're not. Sorry, didn't mean to horrify you with the black goo of death. Anyway, then we see the sun, and then we get a good shot of the sun and the other person coming to someone's farm. Maybe the guy with the cow. Possibly be quick, you know, and they sneak in and this is all made up. This is all not against lore, but I'm not going to do a like or dislike because it was fine. This part, nothing was wrong with this part. And then he goes, you know, who told you that, you know, that they're kind of sweet on each other, the elf and the other person, because everyone doesn't like the elves. And he says that one guy that saw him at the well, right? That's what they make that little comment. And he goes, well, it's a lie, the kid says. So now here's the real question. Is the kid's father the elf? Or is the kid's father some other Numenorian guy or some other Haradrim? Or, you know, what's up with the kid? I'm curious to find out. Again, made up characters, but I'm curious to find out. That intrigued me. So that was well done, I guess. So then they go in here and they find this dagger, right? Or this sword. Again, it's the scary sword. It has the symbol of Sauron, or at least we think it's a symbol of Sauron, on there. You know, he kind of sees a little flame thing, like, remember Galadriel? I didn't mention this at the beginning of this, but she sees like the flame on the thing, and he sees a flame in it. So I don't know, what's this kid gonna become? Some kind of Nazgul? Like, I don't know. Some people are thinking he's gonna become a Nazgul. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I don't dislike the kid yet, though. At least in episode 1 in this review. And then we see the boat. The boat is nice. I'm down with the boat. Okay, so the boat. I like the boat. And I like the whole thing that they're all on it, you know, in perfect formation. Very cool. All right, whatever. Moving on. The boat looks cool, though. And then you get Elrond, and he says the iconic line, "She is passed from my sight." He says that in Peter Jackson's, and I think he does say that in the books. So that is a big old lore-like comment. It's not really a lore thing, but it's so huge for me that he said it like that it just made me think, that's Elrond, right? And Gil-galad and their conversation. And he's kind of like, Gil-galad, we foresaw that it had. Again, they both have the ability to foresee, which is a lore thing, for the same wind. And again, so we seek to blow out the flame, right? They were like worried Galadriel is going to cause more problems. Again, she doesn't do all those things in the book, so she wouldn't cause problems, but following their made-up plot line to help bring it into the actual lore of the story, that's what they're saying. All right, so anyway, again, I really like these two characters because, you know, they're kind of friends, but actually he's kind of like his younger pupil and advisor, right, Elrond? So I think this whole part is really well done. And then he talks about, have you heard about Celebrimbor, right? And the forges, right? Because remember, the series is the Rings of Power. Spoilers, but probably about the Rings of Power, which you need Celebrimbor for that. Look to a new sunrise. It's more about hope right here, which I do like that fact that he would be the one as the king leading that. So I'm going to give that a like because I thought that was really well done. That definitely makes me think of him. And then he says, you know, and then here comes Celebrimbor around the corner. He's growing on me. So here's the thing. I don't really like the look of Celebrimbor, so I'm going to say dislike because I don't really like his look that much. But as a character himself, okay, he's good. Like, so I'm going to give a like for that because his acting is really good and he does make me think Celebrimbor, all right? And he does this little smile thing at Elrond. He's like, oh, I know you want to see the awesome forges of Region or Region. Some people say Region. He says Region. You can kind of say it both ways, but it's just, yeah. Anyway, that's not important. We'll move on. And he does a very respectful bow because Celebrimbor is much older elf and stuff. Again, they're kind of showing the differences of age by like actual aging with the elves, which, here's the thing. Tolkien never says they're immortal. He just says they live a really long time. But, I mean, only a few thousand years difference. They're not going to look much different in age. So, I don't know. There's the smile. I actually like that. I thought it was a good smile. It's like, more to come. And then we get the skies are strange. This guy, I don't know. I like that she pops and says, what is it? And he's like, ah! I like that part. I thought the part was funny. I'm going to do a dislike because I don't think his whole lines make any sense, but I do like the part. I'm going to give a like for the fact that it's a really funny part, and it did make me laugh. So then we get a cool shot of the moon right here. It looks a lot like our moon. I always think it's funny in series that the moons always look really similar to our moon in any fantasy series. It's like, can't you guys make a new looking moon? And then we get this whole conversation about, I actually like the fact that he gets conversation of, oh, this other town, they really follow Sauron. But she's like, hey, they're my friends, and it's been a long time. Because remember that kid said to him too, it's been 1,000 years, right? Like, we're hundreds of generations later. And it's like, that is an interesting thing. But you know why I like that? I like that because it shows the time dilation with the elves and the humans. That the elves remember that, oh, they were loyal to Sauron. But the humans are like, that was like my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, and we don't even know who that is, and we are not loyal to Sauron, right? So I thought that was kind of cool. So I'm going to say a like to that, even though I'm not going to give a lore accurate, but that's a like. I thought that was well done, and that she was kind of like, hey, like, my friends live there, right? Like, so I get that. I totally get that. And then we get the scary, it's being burned down. We're like, whoa, what's happening here, right? Okay, all right. I have nothing to like or dislike except the view is beautiful, right? The shot is awesome. Then we get back to the ocean here. And we get back to the elves going to Valinor. Again, this does not happen. The made-up elves, fine, they can go to Valinor. Galadriel never went back to Valinor at this time in the story. So, obviously, she can't go or you're going to ruin the entire plot of the story. We already know that, as fans who've watched Lord of the Rings. They do, like, a ceremony where they take off their garb because they're putting away their sword, and then she's kind of stubborn and won't grab her sword. It's like, what the heck is happening? So, dislike. I didn't like that. I thought it was weird after she'd already accepted it. And then we get the shot, and then she's, like, doubting herself, kind of thing. I didn't like that. That's why it's dislike. So anyway, by the way, we are going to give a massive lore inaccuracy, even though we've already talked about it with her trip. But the fact that she is going to Valinor right now. Stupid. All right, moving on. The birds come out. This whole part, I know they're trying to make it like, oh, we're going to heaven, but it kind of was creepy a little bit with the birds are fine. The sounds they make are kind of creepy, okay? So I'm going to do a dislike for the sounds the birds make because it kind of creeped me out a little bit. But then something I do like after the birds go around is that you hear the singing, like the Gregorian choir chant, and that I like the fact that, again, the clouds kind of creep me out. So, like, this top part, that's a like. Like, that's cool. That looks like Valinor. The bottom part, dislike. I don't like the clouds. I know that they can't get to Valinor without the help or whatever, but it just creeped me out that it's like this cloud cover that's like some scary thing from I don't know. It creeped me out. I didn't like that part. The light, okay. Now we're being blinded to death, but okay. Again, all these elves with this short hair. This guy has longer hair. He's the best one. And that other character has longer hair. They look like elves, though. They have that really little long necks kind of thing going on. We're very majestic. So now you kind of like, okay, that's prettier. And then you hear the music, right? And you can kind of see the shore of Valinor. So they're obviously pretty far across the ocean. And they start singing along with it. And I thought that was cool, where they like join into the chorus of the singing. That was kind of cool, except for Galadriel. She's looking down at a dagger on the ground, obsessed again, with her obsessed eyes of, I'm so obsessed, I must, ah! Right? She's basically, this is Gollum's grandmother. No, just kidding, I'm sorry. But anyway, really disliked, so dislike. Didn't like it, okay? Didn't like it at all. I know we already gave a negative point for, lore inaccuracy, but disliked it. They get another one, all right? And then she looks up again. Now this is a pretty shot of the Valinor. This is pretty. I like this. This is a good shot. And then he's like, quick, take my hand. And it's like, okay. And then out of the blue in this season, we flip again, right? We flip again. And we jump to seeing the Meteor Man, or the Meteor cross. We see the little flash of the Ents like we saw in the trailer. I hope we see more Ents. That would be cool. I'd be down for that. Because they would be here in the Second Age. The dagger is still there. She's looking at the dagger. She just can't decide if she wants to go back to the place she really wanted to go to, or if she wants to be obsessed chasing Sauron. Again, this is made up. She never had this decision. But even if they make the decision, they gotta make it good, right? And they're not. That's why we give it a dislike. But like, then she's like, you know, take my hand. It's like super corny. Then she hears her brother's comment, and we hear about it from the beginning of the episode, and she decides that she's not gonna do that, right? She's like, no, I'm not. Again, this face reminds me of Galadriel. Of Arwen. Excuse me, Arwen from the Lord of the Rings, when she's kind of like being told by Elrond, you know, you're gonna die if you don't go to the Undying Lands, blah 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 blah, with the tear. I think it's a nod at that. If you get that same vibe from it, I got that vibe from it, so I'm gonna actually give it a like, because that vibe, I liked getting the vibe from like Peter Jackson's. And then you get, she dives out of the ship. There's so much wrong with this, you guys. This is where I'm just like, why would you do that? Where are you gonna go? You're at Valinor. That's Valinor right there. You have an ocean between you and the shore if you're going back the other way. I don't care if you're an elf. I don't care if you don't get cold, and I don't care if you have energy much longer and you don't need food and water as nearly as much as a human for a longer period of time. You will need it, and you will die sooner or later. You're not, like, what is she thinking? Again, this is all made up. This is not historical plot stuff, okay? It's not. That's why we gave a lower interactory point already, okay? It's not. So this is a dislike. Bad. We already gave a lower inaccurate point. And then we see it close and everything gets dark. Scary, freaky. That was why I gave that negative point for that. I didn't like that at all. So then she's now in the ocean. Look at that little head. What you gonna do, Galadriel? I don't know. You're not in a good place right now. Nope. All right, anyway, moving on. Then we get this. I like this part. Gil-galad gets a leaf after he's, sent Galadriel away in the made-up part of the story, but this is the real part. Gil-galad never got fooled by Sauron in the books, so hopefully he doesn't get fooled in this. But he sees this leaf, and he sees it starting to turn black and gross, and I can't find where it does it, but that's okay. I love this part. I'm going to say like. In fact, I'm going to give it a lore correct point. I'm going to remove the like, and I'm going to give it a lore correct point, because I think it's cool because he's already seeing there's evil and he's seeing through it. So they're showing that from the books, the lore accuracy that Gil-galad can see through it from their adaptation perspective. So I like that. There's the leaf doing the thing. And I don't think it's actually doing that. I don't think he's physically seeing the leaf turn black. I think that he's seeing a vision of the warning of his beautiful Malin tree corrupted, right, kind of thing, because it's kind of similar to like the white tree for the elves, their Malin trees, so there is a similarity there. And then we jump over here to Meteor Man. Okay, the Hobbit finds Meteor Man, so he drops somewhere in Rohavania, southern Rohavania, north of Mordor, as we know. He's I like that her eyes, I don't know what's going on with her eyes. Let's just hop through this real quick, and then we see Meteor Man, right? I'm at the same point as I was in the trailers for this one, guys. No idea what's going on here. Nothing. None. Zip. Zero. I got nothing for that one, you guys. Nothing. So, what I will end on here is that for episode 1, if I'm going to give a rating for it, okay, if you got here to the end, I really appreciate if you watched my entire review of this and my breakdown of this. Again, I tried to be as fair as I could to both sides that liked it and disliked it. Again, overall, the first episode for me is, when you look at that over there, what I think with about it's pretty even with lore inaccuracies and lore correctness, which isn't really ideal. It should be higher, but my enjoyment was definitely more than my dislike. And again, remember, I did this as I go with you just now too. I'm sure there's other likes and dislikes in doing it if I break it down even more, but we've done an hour and a half. This is plenty for the first episode. I would say overall for the first episode, it's a 7 out of 10 for me. I know that's a little generous, maybe 7.5 out of the first one. Out of the first two, because I really like the second one first, so go watch my review of the second one, which will be up next on this playlist. Together the first two as a whole, it's an 8 or 8.5 out of 10. I know that's really good. Let's say on my more mean side, it maybe is a 6.5 or 7 out of 10. At my more generous side, it's an 8 or 8.5 out of 10. Okay, that's my thing. And again, the first one is only like a 7 out of 10 on my more generous side, though, because there's a lot of stuff I didn't like with Galadriel, and she's kind of being made the main character, which is fine. I don't mind if she's the main character, her and Elrond, but they changed her personality so much, it just bothered me. But there was a lot of stuff I really liked, and again, the music was not as great as I would have liked, but there are some really good music spots still, even in the first episode. But most of it is not as good, so again, that would have popped it up more. But scenery-wise, how they bring it in with actual lore at the beginning with what she's talking about, I think Elrond is actually really well done. I like Gil-galad. Those are the ones we've really seen. I actually like a lot of the made-up characters. So from a standalone series, let's say we're not talking about any Lord of the Rings hook to it. Of course, it should be because it's supposed to be at the Second Age. It's a good series so far just by itself because it made me want to watch the next episodes. All right? So it made me want to watch the next episodes. I wasn't just immediately turned off like, oh, you know what I mean? I know some people were. I understand if you are. Please feel free to leave your comments. Be civil about it, guys. Please. Tell me what you really disliked. Tell me the exact things you disliked. Don't just tell me you disliked it, or I'm crazy if I liked it, or tell me that I'm horrible that I disliked some things, and that that you loved it. Like, tell me what you actually loved about it, like the parts. Tell me the scenes, and tell me what you really despised about or disliked about it. The actual parts and the scenes. That's what I want to hear. Okay, that's what I will be interested to hear. If you're someone that's mean who just says a mean comment, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna totally ignore you and laugh you off. So. Because I was about as neutral and as kind as I think I've seen anybody else on the internet about this, both in the positive and the negatives, because I told you my things I really disliked and the things I really liked about it. So, yeah. Anyway, there's Zollin's opinion on it, my friends. You have a wonderful, wonderful day in Middle-earth. Thank you so much to my wonderful patrons for your support. It means a lot. Again, there's my final tally for going over it with you guys, with stuff that I found lore correct and stuff that I really found bad, and dislikes and enjoyment of it, okay? Again, overall, pretty decent score for the first episode. Not as good as the second episode. And again, of course, there is some negative in the second and positive in the second as well. But we'll see that in the next episode review video. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day in Middle-earth, and thank you again for joining me. Subscribe button's there if I earned it. If you like this kind of stuff. Again, I'm not going to always do stuff on Rings of Power, but it's kind of a crucial thing, and I am Voice of the Rings, so I need to voice my opinion on this and make sure I'm keeping an eye on it for Tolkien, right? Because there is some stuff there that I'm sure Tolkien would be very disappointed in. So, but I think there's a couple things that he would have enjoyed too. But again, I don't even know if Tolkien would have enjoyed Peter Jackson's adaptations as much. Maybe he would have. I don't know. We really don't know that. None of us really know that, right? I don't know, because he really wasn't a super big fan of technology, so I don't know if he would have wanted any of his books put into an adaptation, because he knows that it won't be as good as his books. And that's fair, because we know his books will always be the best thing. There's no substitute for Tolkien's books. We all know that. Even though it's fun to watch stuff in media and acting. All right, you guys. And by the way, so start getting there. Yep. Next episode will be up there for episode 2. And a Lotro tail will pop up over my little thing over there. So you guys have a great day in Middle-earth. Thank you so much for joining me. And thank you for your kind comments. Not your... Be nice to each other, everyone. Have a great day in Middle-earth. Baruch Hazard Kuzar, I menu.